these walls could talk. I am your host with the most, Wendy Stuart, and my other half, Tym Moss, is still MIA. Well, he's not exactly MIA because he is doing Little House on the Ferry in Florida, Thursday, May 12th at a theater called Black Box Center for the Arts. And then he's doing it again Thursday, May 19th, and a bunch of other dates. But what I suggest you do, go on Tym Moss's page on Facebook to get more accurate information than I'm capable of doing, because I can't even see what I'm reading these days. But don't judge me on that. So it's been such an incredible amount of fun for me lately. I did Night of 1,000 Stevies, which for those of you who don't know, it's the big tribute to Stevie Nicks that we have it every year, but because of the pandemic, there has been no Night of 1,000 Stevies. And the reason I love it so much is, first of all the performers are amazing. So many people you've heard of, and they all have one thing in common. They love Stevie Nicks and they love Fleetwood Mac. And the show is just incredible. It's produced by Chichi Valente and Johnny Dynell, and they've been doing it 30 years. This was Night of 1,000 Stevies, Book of Stevie, 30 years. It's quite incredible. So at the end, we have the Battle of the Stevies. And of course, I love to dance on stage at the end because I'm in full costume. And let's just face it, anybody who knows me, and even if you don't know me, if you visit me on Facebook or Instagram, the one thing I have in common with most drag performers is I love wigs. I love lashes. I love a lot of makeup, and I love bling. So, speaking of bling, I am very excited about my guest today. Why am I using the word bling to describe her? She is light. She is energy. Okay, this secret I'm going to tell you. Whenever we have performers on here, you know, I always watch a couple of their videos. I never watch anyone's entire video history because their music blew me away so much. Her range of music. This girl, and I'm not giving it away yet, can do classic. She can do rock. And she just is like, she explodes on stage playing her violin. Her violin, that's what really blew me away. I'd like you to welcome Daisy Jopling. Come on in. She's here today with us. That is great. She was blown away when I told her. I listened.
Made my day.
Oh, well, I listened to your YouTube videos like again and again and again. So, and I have to tell you, I'm more of a rock and roll kind of girl. That's no secret. But her classical, there were moments I felt like crying. And, you know, I'm going to find out a lot about Daisy today. I know what she does. I know her tours. I don't know her history. The only thing I know about this woman is she played Royal Albert Hall at age 14. And you started violin at 3 years old.
I did.
So do you think we can call Daisy a prodigy? I think we can.
You know, in the classical world, though, they have a totally different meaning, which means you wake up, you're 4 years old, you pick up the violin, and you can play Paganini. I couldn't do that, actually. I couldn't do that. So
wait, so you have to, like, that's a requirement. You know, you hear of these. Who do I know from that world? There was Midori, is that?
Yeah. Oh, she's so amazing.
That's the only person I know, though.
She's
and now
amazing.
I know you.
Oh my God, thank you.
So what is it with, you have to be able to do this at 3 and 4 years old?
Look, at 3 years old,
God,
and I actually, yeah, it's amazing. I don't remember, but apparently, so my aunt, one of my dearest aunts, Aunt Louise, I love you.
Hi, Aunt Louise. That's my parents' name.
Her
Her name, I have a cockatoo.
Really?
Louise.
Oh my God.
Like, sing out Louise. Okay.
She's
so
amazing.
Your
she
Aunt
was
Louise.
a professional violinist. She still plays the violin. She's been my mentor my whole life. I adore you. I adore you, Louise. So apparently when I was 3 years old, I said to my mom every day, I want to play the violin like Aunt Louise.
Wow.
And finally she's like, oh, well, maybe she's serious. Okay. So she apparently, I don't remember any of this. She's, you know, literally got a empty tissue box, put some rubber bands on it, saw if it like
I
seems
totally
to fit me. I don't know. I'm
totally
like
love
plucking
that.
away.
Right.
Anyway, then my mom organized for me to have an amazing teacher. Now, there are tons of amazing teachers in the world. And when you're 3 years old, it's got to be fun. Everything's got to be like kind of relaxed and playing games. And she was like that. She was amazing with kids because, I mean, well, I guess as a kid, I probably maybe I did like practicing. I don't know. I remember being a teenager and always making an excuse to not practice. So there were a lot of times.
So you had your little bumps in the road. But you know what? I'm getting back to 3 years old. Did I have Barbies? I had a Ginny doll. I don't remember the dolls I had, but I played with dolls. The violin needs a focus, all right? And the fact that this 3-year-old child wanted to play so badly, I know that Aunt Louise was an influence, but it also had to be in you. Maybe, it always fascinates me with people that are like this, that they have some kind of genetic component in them, and they haven't studied that enough. But there was something, Daisy, that made you say, I want to do this. Right. You know, kids pick up like ukuleles and guitars, not violins. And that spoke to me on a lot of volumes, what you just said. I played violin in the 4th grade because I had to. It was a heinous experience. I had that thing up here, my neck, and I know you can relate to this. Right here.
I know. It's not very.
Oh my God. It was like
normal position in a way.
It wasn't a normal position. It hurt. The only thing I liked about the violin was, this is so twisted, but I can share it with Daisy. I feel like I know her already. The rosin that I put on the bow, it's got a particular smell.
It does. It smells nice. It's pine.
It's
comes
pine.
From the pine tree.
It comes, there you go. So Daisy's connecting to my smell of rosin. That is great. Okay. But we have this 3-year-old that's learning how to play the violin. Yeah. So other kids were going to kindergarten. You were coming home, and
that's right. Wow. You know, but I had a very unusual family situation where my mom and dad, you know, both really thought that playing a musical instrument was great for the development of a child's mind.
Smart parents.
And and so they didn't allow a television. We had no television back then, no computers. I mean, they actually were quite kind of strict. I mean, we weren't really allowed to listen to other kinds of music. Like it was very
classical.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was very kind of sheltered. We lived in the countryside, but like in the middle of nowhere. Like you had to go to our like upstairs floor of the house to see one other house. I mean, you couldn't even see any other houses. Like it was very.
But look at what you're hitting on here, right? It was isolated in the country. You were in England, right? Yeah. What part of England were you in?
It's like northeast of London. So it's like a couple of hours outside London, right on the coast. You could see like a marsh and then the sea from my house.
Oh my God.
It's quite beautiful. So my mom still lives there. It's really beautiful.
Idyllic. I grew up in the Bronx. It was totally different. And I think what you're describing, it's a perfect place for a kid to really develop. And plus, you know, we're talking about your parents, that they were smart enough to understand the value of that kind of focus. You know, we talk nowadays about kids, and we're going to talk about your mentorship program going forward, but a lot of the electronics that the kids are working with nowadays does wire their brains differently. I don't know, maybe we're still going to get our prodigies. I don't know, but certainly so different than the way you were raised.
Yeah, so different. And everything, it was so interesting. I watched like a 2-minute video yesterday on Billie Eilish that her parents, they used to say to Billie, you know, and her brother, that if you're creating, you can stay up as late as you want. Their whole childhood was based on the importance of creativity. And I would say that the same with my family, that, you know, as long as we're playing music, I would love to paint. I would love to like create things with like tapestry or anything creative. That was like what the focus was in our household. And I have 2 siblings, my brother and my sister. Yeah. They have both become professional classical musicians.
Oh my God.
They're both amazing.
She makes me feel dirty.
No.
I was hanging out on the stoop in the Bronx while the 3 of you were, you know, prepping yourselves for this future and the classics. Daisy, it's really, really interesting to me. All 3 kids.
All 3 kids.
Your parents must be so proud of you.
I think so, yeah. My sister is the lead viola player in the Oslo Opera Orchestra, so she lives in Norway.
Right.
My brother is an amazing conductor, conducts like the English Chamber Orchestra, and he lives in London. Yeah, and plays the cello. Beautiful cello player. He has all kinds of stuff going on. They're amazing. Orlando Jopling, Julia Jopling, check them out.
Yep, absolutely. Let's name drop.
Let's name drop the family.
So great. So you grew up in school. The way I learned to play violin, well, we can't even say that I learned to play violin. It was terrible, but I tried. We used to have music programs here. We don't have them in a lot of the public schools now, which is why someone like you, where you're coming in, and I can't wait to get to that. But when I was in school, you know, we practiced. And then, of course, the big thing was having the school concert, the spring concert. Your parents would come. Did they have that in your school as well?
They did. And they had an amazing orchestra in my school.
Okay.
And I think also my, you know, the school I was at in England, I think I don't know if they have that same program now. So that really nurtured me as well, because I was kind of an odd kid at school. I mean, I didn't know any of the things. I didn't know anything about pop culture. I was like, you know, isolated.
But you were growing up in the country, so I would think that there were a lot of kids that were like you, maybe, right? Or
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I don't know any others, you know, but I still, because I played the violin, like I was, you know, we have that like primary and then secondary school.
Yeah, I know. It's a little different.
So when you're 11, you go to the school that you stay in from 11 years old right up to 18 years old. So when you're 11, you're really young. I mean, you're 11. There's like, you know, all these teenagers who are tall. Like,
oh my God, it's so intimidating.
Yeah, but I was the best violinist in that school. So I was like leading the whole orchestra. And there were maybe like 60 music, like it was quite a big orchestra.
Right.
So I was already 11, like leading the orchestra. And I think that gave me a feeling of, you know, some kind of confidence, probably.
Confidence and power, right? And the older kids had to look at you.
That's right.
Daisy's got it going on.
So I think that was what took. I don't remember really feeling bad about the fact that I didn't know what the hell. Okay, this is the story that epitomizes my childhood.
Yes.
I was 11 years old. I'd arrived in this new school. So you start the term in September. So we get to October. And so I'm very new in the school. And there's this day that I arrive at school. And, you know, my mom would have to drive us to the school. Like, there was no bus or anything.
No bus.
You know.
Right.
So we arrive at the school. I'm probably just starting to get to know a few people. And there's this, like, crazy kind of buzz. Like, everybody's going, did you hear? Did you hear? And I was like, no, because I never know.
Right, you didn't hear anything because they didn't have TV or anything.
So they're like, well, John Lennon was shot. And I didn't say it, but
I
did not know who John Lennon was. Like, I didn't know the Beatles. I mean, that, if you can imagine that's even possible, that's how I
can, you know what? I can totally imagine that's possible, because in the household you grew up in your family culture, we never talk about family culture, and in the culture of your family, there is no way that you would have known. What is so amazing to me is we're going to talk about all the music of the Who that you play. You play Beatles music. So somewhere along the way, Daisy filled in the gap, which, right? She filled in that gap. Right. You filled it literally. But the fact that you could.
Yeah.
All right. The fact that you could, you know, you said you were isolated from everything, but guess what? It didn't do one bit of damage. As a matter of fact, maybe that's why when you play, it's so filled with energy. When you play, Daisy, it's like you're discovering the piece for the first time. It's like for me, it was like I never heard that piece played that way before.
Right.
I mean, the Who. Yeah. If someone told me somebody plays the Who, a violin, I'm like, come on. It would have to be electrical violin.
I did play electric violin.
You did, but you also play regular violin. Yeah, I do. My God, she beats the violin up, ladies and gentlemen. I've never. It's like the instrument becomes one with her, and it's fierce. Right. The energy between you and that connection with that violin. Yeah. All right, so we find out about John Lennon, you know, and obviously because you're incredible at the violin, you're getting respect in school. Where do we go to next?
Well, then there's this opportunity of the Royal Albert Hall, which came up because my county, so I lived in the county in England of Essex. Okay. And that which county, I've heard of. Yeah, that county decided to put on a show showcasing all the talent in that county. It was called Essex Presents at the Royal Albert Hall. And because I was leading also the orchestra of like the youth orchestra, Essex School String Orchestra. So this youth orchestra in my county, I was also leading that. And so they asked me to play a concerto. So suddenly I'm playing a concerto at the Royal Albert Hall at 14 years old.
I can't even believe it.
Which was like, but that was, I think the most powerful thing about that moment for me was that I, honestly, for about a week, I thought I'm going to be sick with nerves. I mean, like the thought was so beyond.
But what was terrifying you? The size of it?
7,000 people. I probably never even played a concert in London. You know, I probably never I mean, nowhere near. So I probably just thought, am I going to go on stage and lose it? You know, like one does imagine all this horror. Right. But actually, I remember being backstage and then walking on the stage and being out there. There's 7,000 people. and I felt like I'd never felt so good in my whole life.
I love it.
Obviously,
like she was meant to be there.
Yeah,
right.
I love performing, and
Yeah,
and I just let go, and I let the music flow through me. And that concerto, this maybe like 15-minute concerto, felt like it lasts a split second. You know, I was like, "Is that? I'm finished? Oh no, really?
Isn't
and then
that?
I had to leave the stage. I was like, "Really? No, I was having such a good time."
It's so incredible.
And I remember telling everybody, like, somebody was asking me recently, and I remember right after that, I told everybody, I think that the spirits of all those great artists who played there, that still like the energy's there.
All of a sudden, they were like they gave it up to you.
Me up.
And now she's hit on an area I love to talk about. When the spirits are great, they infuse us with their energy.
They're all around us.
You probably, like you said, it was a 15-minute concerto. That's the reason it felt like you were done in 3 minutes, because time changes. Time becomes something else. 1000%. And every minute that you're on that stage is just pure magic. And it's very hard to explain to an audience that's watching exactly what you're feeling. But it is almost, when they use that phrase, a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
In a blink of an eye, you were done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the best feeling in the world.
Best
My God, at 14.
I was so excited. I remember I was so excited. I couldn't find my way back. I was supposed to be in this.
You were like
all the students were supposed to like get together and do something at the end. I could not. I mean, it's a complicated big hall, right?
Yes.
I completely got lost. I was so totally spaced and like excited, and I couldn't find my way back anywhere. I remember just being completely lost. I was like, okay, whatever.
Right, because it was so the adrenaline and everything, the whole situation becomes so surreal. But I love that you were lost in the Royal Albert Hall. That's how many people could say that, right? I got lost in Grand Central Station one time. That's and not after a violin concerto either. So you continued on with your studies, and I guess the way it works is you go to university.
Yeah, so I went to the Royal College of Music. It's an amazing.
So you were, of course, music college.
Kind of like a Juilliard of in
London,
it
would be the Juilliard.
But during that time, and I would say even before, there was this part of me
that comes out now.
Yeah, I remember like trying it with my teacher, saying, "Look, you know this part." Like a Mozart concerto or something. Can I like play this a bit differently? Because I got this idea. I want to write this. And the response was like, "How dare you!" Like
shut down.
Shut down.
Right.
So, but there was this thing inside me. I didn't want to play the same piece that thousands of other violinists are playing. I wanted to be cutting edge. I wanted to feel like I'm creating something nobody's created, you know?
I totally love this, because what you're saying is I don't want to be mediocre. I'm not calling the best violinists in the world mediocre, but there is a sameness in some of the great people. There's a sameness that's, you brought up Juilliard. The people I know that have done incredibly well that graduated from Juilliard had to bust out of the Juilliard box. And obviously, you were already foaming at the mouth to bust out of that box.
Yeah, I kind of got thrown out. That's another story. And then,
well, no. Did they? Hold on, because I know people that were asked to leave Juilliard. These are the conversations I love having. Did they ask you to leave because you you were coloring outside the lines, as we say?
Well, I mean, it was that I'd actually already. So in 3 years, kind of early, I finished the whole diploma. So I already got the honors in my diploma, and I was, but I had this amazing moment with my brother. He doesn't even remember. It was literally months before I was supposed to finish, and he came to live with me and realized that yes, I am practicing, but I'm actually I'm in London having a good time. I'm like, I lived in the middle of nowhere. I'm coming to London, so I'm like having a good time.
Daisy's unleashed,
exploring, like literally all kinds of things. Exploring philosophy, exploring cooking.
You were exploring.
I mean, I was going lessons on this and economy, and I don't know, whatever.
How old were you at that point?
I was 19. I went when I was 17 to the college, so I was 19.
All right, you were a little bit of a late bloomer that was happening to you at 19 and not 15 or whatever.
When I was 15, I was in the middle of nowhere, so
right, but there you were, and you could smell it and taste it, and you wanted more of it.
So my brother though was like, well, you're leaving college like it was within the last year. You're supposed to be going to the music profession, but I don't think you're going to make it like the rate you're going, because to go into the music profession needs total dedication, to go into any art profession. So, or maybe any profession, if you want to do well. But anyway, so basically he was like, I think you should really decide, like, are you really going to become a musician? And it was like it had kind of come like falling on me, and I'd never just, well, when I was 3 I wanted to play, but you know, it's a bit different.
Well,
than,
we
like,
evolved, Daisy. You were evolving as a human being.
Yeah. And obviously he doesn't actually remember it, but it was so like touched me deeply in my heart when I was like, oh yeah, that's true, I am leaving quite soon and I gotta decide what I want to do. And I went into this 3 days of like probably like a meditation, like a kind of questioning, inner questioning,
getting into your head, asking yourself
like,
questions.
do I want to become a musician? And after 3 days I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like, that was a massive moment. And I decided I want a different teacher in the college. And I went up to the best teacher and he's like, I don't have time. And I persuaded him to, like,
of course
finally hear me. He was like, oh, come and play to me. You know, I practiced crazily, like 8 hours a day. You know, like a week later I played to him. He's like, okay, well, you really got potential. Okay, I can, you know.
Fabulous. You needed to hear that.
You know, and he started me actually again, like I had to learn how to use a different technique. I had to play only the open strings of the violin for months. I mean, I had to really retrain.
Why did he retrain your brain and your ability? Really,
he felt like the kind of technique I was using should be better, should be different, and that, you know,
that would be work better for you.
Yeah, after 6 months, I so I had to come out of the orchestra and the different things I was doing.
Right.
I just literally had to play like every half an hour to stop and play again or something. He had this whole schedule.
It was incredible. It was, but didn't you still have this thing gnawing at you?
Yeah.
You know, the world of pop culture that's out there.
Yeah.
You're in London. You can do it. You're 19 years old. You can do anything.
I can, but we didn't, as a classically trained musician, there was not a thought in my mind that I could do anything else but classical music. It just, that's what we give to our kids, because you know, until it's like saying to somebody, what are your dreams? All our dreams, I was just literally thinking about this today, all our dreams are based on only what we know. We can think outside the box, but only outside the box we know. We can't think in another box.
Oh my God, she's brilliant. Okay, I have to quote that. We can only think outside of the box we know.
Yeah,
I never thought of it that way.
That's what we, you know,
we're conditioned to that.
Yeah.
How do you bust out of that?
Yeah, you bust out by actually people coming into our lives who just give us a whole other, you know, situation.
Who came into your life?
Well, in this case, I had this new teacher and I auditioned. So even though I was always talented, I was kind of in that Royal College of Music. I was kind of honestly in the orchestra situation. I was playing like maybe the last violin. I mean, I wasn't really like the best. And then I did this 6 months of like, I just decided I'm going to become a professional musician.
It's all focus.
Yeah. And I auditioned again, like each year. So I decided I'm going to stay on 1 more year, learn with this amazing teacher and like do an extra postgraduate year. And I auditioned for the orchestra and they called me up and they said, you know, you've really changed. I mean, we've decided to make you the leader of the orchestra. Like, I was like, no, you got the wrong person. They were like, we were quite shocked.
The leader. So this is the second time in your house that this happened.
Yeah, from like the last to the first. So I'm like leading the orchestra, but then because I honestly, that inner intention, that inner decision, I started to get all this professional work. I was asked to play with the European Community Chamber Orchestra, like these quite big tours. I was getting solo concerts in like recital places. I was getting a lot of stuff. And I in the end couldn't really commit to being like the leader of that orchestra. I did it for 6 months, but the final 6 months, I had so much other work. I don't want to jeopardize my professional work by the college.
You brought up something. So, I love that you're bringing this up. Yeah. Because I'll tell you why. Kids that have succeeded in the Olympics, they have to decide if they're going to prep for the next Olympics. I think it was Tara Lipinski, the ice skater, whether she was going to continue to go on or take every single opportunity that came her way. And that's exactly what you were faced with. 1000%. And you know what? If I were in that position, I would do exactly what you did, because it's the biggest world possible at that point.
Yeah, it was.
And it was all being offered to you.
Yeah.
What are you, 20 years old at that 20, point?
Exactly.
I mean, 20 years old, you've got the world by the cañones, and it's the thing, everybody wants you.
Right.
Everybody wants you.
But then it was interesting. So then I did, you know, they respectfully let me go, kind of like, you're fired from the college, you know. So
we're done with you.
Then I was free, and I still actually had my teacher was like, I'll still give you lessons. It was amazing, you know, without any cost. So, but then I started doing all this outside work, but I had this, like you said, then this desire really started getting, all I know is that I suddenly found out about a course where classical musicians could start to learn to improvise. Now this is,
like that was deadly for Daisy, that how she can improvise as a classical.
So I did that, and I mean, in a nutshell, I then got this offer to go and stay with my friend in Vienna, and ended up actually living in Vienna and being in a string trio because I stayed there. I decided to stay for a few months. I mean, I got this amazing offer, stayed there for a few months, met two other musicians much further than me, but kind of like me, studied classically, but had this desire. But they were already improvising, they were already writing music. I mean, so we decided to hang out in the evenings. We'd like have our lesson with Boris Kushner, this incredible teacher, but and Russian, like very
Russian. That's very, really
heavy
duty classical.
Heavy duty classical.
Da, 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 da. Yeah,
amazing teacher. So grateful to him. But we would have I had this other violinist also studying with him. So in the day we practiced like 5 hours a day, whatever, 8 hours.
Oh my God.
In the evening we'd meet and we'd be like, can we like improvise together? Let's improvise a fugue. Let's play this music. It's like tango, let's play this. It's like a flamenco. And we decided to put on a concert in a cafe like a few months later. I was going to leave back to London, and the A&R of the record company BMG came to that.
In Vienna.
In Vienna. We're playing for 20 people, and he came up to us afterwards and he said, I want to sign you to BMG.
This is like, these are the fairy tales that I love to hear. Wow.
Because I never thought I can earn my money. Even though I'm hanging out in the evenings and like, doing this stuff, which felt so exciting and so difficult. I would cry often because I felt like I can't break out of my classical mode. It was such a challenge, trying to improvise at the beginning. I sounded like Mozart, on bad Mozart.
Well, now you're talking, you never thought you could earn money as an independent artist.
Right.
And you know what, Daisy's right. It's the hardest thing in the world. But the fact of the matter is, did you have a choice? No, you didn't. It was who you were.
Yeah, that's right.
And what it's funny, you call it at night, you got together and improvised. Bands call it jamming.
That's right.
Right. She was a violining. I invented a word, a violining jammist. I love that. She was a violining jammist.
Yeah.
Incredible. And then gets signed to a record deal.
Yeah.
Which shows, you know what, if you follow your passion and you try and take those walls down, you really open up for things to happen.
That's right.
Really amazing story. Right. You know what? I want to play your video that you've gotten to us. Thank you so much. And if you go on her YouTube channel, you just keep going through like I did. It's just going to amaze you. Her range, her energy, and like you'd be sitting there. I was like dancing. I've never danced to violin before. Absolutely never danced to violin before. So when we come back from your video, I have so many more questions for you, because it's the fact that you live in Peekskill now, Peekskill, New York. I love when people end up in other places.
That is
from the UK.
Amazing story. Just
here we go.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tick tock, tick 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 tock, tick tick tick. One, two, three, five, four.
I love the show. It was amazing. Daisy is awesome.
It was definitely the best violin that I've heard ever, even better than Charlie Daniels, who I love to death.
And this was one of the best shows I've ever seen her perform at. But not only that, everybody seemed, the energy was so good. Everybody seemed to be on top of their game.
This is my first concert and I loved it.
At 3 p.m. at the Paramount, and that's in Peekskill.
That's right.
New York, which for anyone from New York that's watching, you can take Metro North right there. It's super easy, right to the Peekskill station. And the name of your group is called Irradiance.
That's right. The name of the show, Irradiance. So the Irradiance means the fact of shining brightly.
Oh my God, I love this.
Yeah.
Because I said to Daisy, the thing that I notice when she plays, she shines brightly. She elevates the amount of light that she gives off. Absolutely beautiful. That is so incredible. Well, I love sharing this with our audience. And if anyone has any additional questions, you can always contact me. Everyone knows how to reach me. All my social media is out there like dirty laundry. And sometimes it is. But I'll gladly give you all the information, how to order tickets for Daisy's show. You know, she is a hop, skip, and a jump from the city.
That's right. That's right. And it's going to be hopefully a beautiful day. Come up on a lovely weekend.
Gorgeous, right?
3 p.m. show. Peekskill's gorgeous right now.
Yes,
honestly.
it is.
Oh, it's like heaven.
Yeah.
So is New York City. It's anyway.
Well, New York's not like heaven these days. It's closer to hell many days, but it's our New York, and we still love it. And I'm still gonna hang in there. It's got the biggest concentration of creative people.
Oh God,
right. Isn't that the truth? So okay. The life of Daisy. So you've now got your first record deal.
Yeah.
At 20 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, really incredible. So again, it's a world that I interview lots of musicians, but when you get your first record deal, does that mean they start signing you up for tours and stuff?
Oh
How does that all work?
So back in, this is a while ago when they have money. I mean, I know record labels, I guess for some artists love money, but for a violinist, this was amazing for us,
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of money going towards violinists. Am I correct on that?
I don't really know, but I know that back then they just poured money into us. So the marketing, we created an album. So they wanted us to start off with art arrangements of the film composer Ennio Morricone. Do you know him?
No, I'm not familiar.
Ennio Morricone. Do you know he did all the spaghetti westerns like Once Upon a Time in America?
Oh, of course I know who that is. Okay.
So he actually passed away just recently, maybe last year, or maybe the year before. I think 2020. Yeah, so just a couple years ago.
Of course I know Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah, so he did, and For Love One Can Die. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So we did a beautiful album. Actually, I have to say, Triology, Triology was the name of that string trio. And we created just beautiful album of arrangements done by the cellist Tristan Schulze, who's amazing. Check him out. Alexei Goodisman is the other violinist in that trio. So we arranged Ennio Morricone. They got that record playing around the world. We were getting calls. I mean, we were suddenly touring in Japan. We were suddenly touring, of course, around Europe. We did a tour in the US. We were signed to Columbia Artists. It was like the money they put behind us was amazing. And they played us on the radio constantly all around the world.
What time in the timeline? This was what, the 90s or
it was 94.
Yeah, see, I knew it. They were pouring money out then. Right.
And I'm just trying to think how long it took between like I mean, I remember it was a very short time span. They're like, okay, ready? We wanted to make write the arrangements, learn them and record them. It was all within maybe months, I mean weeks. It felt like nothing. I remember practicing like,
and then it was go. Then it was go.
And then the record was probably released like pretty soon after that, some months later. And then when it was released, they just pumped money into it. It was played around the world, and it was like, okay, you want to tour here, you want to tour there, you want to tour there, and we just started. We started touring around the world. It was like, oh my god.
You make it sound so easy too.
It was it was a lot of work, and also
no, but it's the ease of having that support behind you. What I hear from musicians in these times, it's a whole other ball game now. Those deals are not as readily available, if not at all. And for many of the people that do get out there are connected already. Yeah. You were Daisy from the country by the sea. Right? And look, I love this stuff. No, this is why we get out of bed every day to tell these stories and to share these dreams you did.
You know what, though? I really believe wherever you are, if you have the dream, if you keep working, the magic is in the air, because we are only living in a 3D virtual reality. And, we can attract with our thoughts, with our energy, with our intentions.
Oh, my God.
We just do,
you know? About this all the time. And it's something that I practice. Exactly. And you did.
Yeah.
And you did.
It will happen to you. Whatever you dream is going to happen to you. Just keep going.
Improvising, as you said it, in that cafe in Vienna with two people that you randomly met. I did the math already. You didn't know them. She didn't plan it.
No.
And of course, somebody from A&R was in the audience. You didn't plan that either. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yes, it can happen.
Yeah, it can happen.
So 1,000%. you're touring the world essentially. How did your family feel about this? This was like, wow.
There were a lot of everything in life has its challenges, and this did as well. My father, who has passed away now, who's the most beautiful man in the whole world. I feel he's with me all the time. I love you, Dad. He actually was. I told you that both my parents were and still are. My mom's still into classical music.
Yeah.
So actually, my dad had quite an issue when I first started playing other music. He, okay, I'm touring the world and that stuff, but he was like, well, at the beginning, he really worked on himself. At the beginning, he was like, well, I hope this won't last too long, and you'll be playing Beethoven again.
Right. He wanted Daisy to become a sensible girl.
But then after a while, he was like, he kind of even said, I'm sorry I said that. Look, he said, it's great what you're doing. And he really supported me in so many ways throughout my life.
Wow. And that's important. But sometimes it takes, and again, I talk to a lot of musicians, it will follow that path where the parent doesn't quite get it.
Yeah.
But the kid's successful. What are you going to do?
Even my family now, when I told them, so my family still to this day, most of them have not heard of The Who, right? Literally, they're living in England, but they live in a different world.
I love it.
So when I told them I'm going to record a couple of years ago this album of The Who, they didn't know who they were. So they went and they've all researched who are The Who, and what comes up? Stuff like when they were in their heyday and they realized that smashing instruments on stage is like something that really brings attention and multiplies their income on audiences. They started doing that, and my aunt called me like, Daisy, I hope you're not going to smash your violin on stage.
Her parents were worried. They were worried for you.
And I was like, don't worry. I'm not going to smash my violin.
So and
I play electric violin anyway.
You do electric violin as well. Having looked at all your videos, I do want to talk with you about why you chose who you chose.
Yeah.
So you didn't really know from pop music at all. Yet now, Hey Jude, you play that. What made you decide this Who? Now, you've played the Who before, but you have an album coming out.
Well, the album came out a couple of years ago, so it's called Who's Who, because I didn't know who the Who were. And so I went I'm living in, so my trio, we did 13 years, and then we wanted to do something else. And
hold on. You can't gloss over that. So you toured for 13 years.
We did, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we did.
Amazing.
We did. And we worked like with Hans Zimmer, you know.
So yes. Oh, I have to stop you right there because
Yeah.
that was in my notes. But see, I
Yeah.
memorized my notes.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, genius.
I am very much turned on by electronic music.
Yeah.
And Hans Zimmer
Is the genius at that.
is a genius.
Creative genius.
Like classical, but trance-oriented,
Yeah.
electronic and progressive.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
All
very
rolled into
creative.
one. And
His sound world is like incredible.
you get to play with Hans Zimmer.
But interestingly,
I want your
you know,
autograph.
yeah, but interestingly, I have to tell this story because it's so meaningful, like to me, because I actually, you know, when I first met him, I wasn't coming from that world and I didn't know about that music.
Right.
I didn't know anything about that music at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I basically arrived, you know, in LA with my trio partners, and he you know, Hans Zimmer he's absolutely, you know, genius, and he's also kind of real. Like he sat us down, he said, I know you're coming from Vienna, Austria, where I was living, being the city of like very traditional, I mean, they're creative, very creative, but like, you know, the way you compose is based on the craft of composition, knowing how to write for all of those orchestral instruments. You know, that craft, that skill is an amazing skill. It takes tons of years of study.
It's very highbrow. You're saying Vienna is highbrow.
I don't
they have good pastries.
They are also very, very, very creative. I adore Vienna.
Right.
And I know so many amazing, creative, brilliant.
But it seems like it's based on the technical ability to.
I don't know, maybe even originally. So I came from that, and Hans Zimmer sat us down and said, look, I pretty much compose using like a couple of chords, you know, a couple of keys. I can't really play the piano. I mean, he can play, but you know, he's not like a pianist like Mozart.
Mozart.
And so I'm like looking at him going, who is this guy? And I was quite.
Oh, you didn't know
I didn't
who
ever
he,
say no, and I knew who he is, but like
Yeah.
I was quite kind of judgmental, and I was a bit judgmental about a lot of stuff. Like he said, you know, I write basic things, and then I have all these composers, and just to say that often when we are judgmental, it's like often something that maybe we could say about ourselves, because later I had no idea I would come and live in the States. But, you know, when our trio did finally we wanted to do something else, I started getting a lot of work in New York, which I turned down for a year. And then finally I'm like,
oh my God, Daisy's turning down work in New York.
I was like, it's so far away. I mean, oh my God, I can't. So finally I was like, okay, I'll go there for a year, and you know, got married, and here I am 16 years later.
Here we are.
But when I arrived in New York, actually, I had really tried to learn those skills because I wanted to start writing my own music.
Of course.
And I mean, I'm not saying you can do anything you set your mind to, but this was not falling into any kind of realm of it's going to work for me. Writing all of those charts, learning how it works. And so what I started to do, and what I now do, is I write the music, and I have incredible arrangers and orchestrators who orchestrate it for me. I am doing exactly what Hans Zimmer does. I'm not saying I'm genius like him, but I just mean that all those things I said about him, where I'm like, you're doing this guy, I do exactly that right now.
You know what we say? There before the grace of God go I. And you know what, Daisy? You're smart.
Yeah.
Because you learned that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And good for you, right?
So now I'm like, Hans, I'm sorry. You're amazing.
Apologies to Hans Zimmer. He's still totally amazing.
Anyway,
and I was very impressed that you got to work with him. You know, I have to say. So you meet Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
You're touring for so many years.
Yeah. And there was another incredible story that I have to share about.
Yeah, so I love incredible stories.
You know, when we performed with Bobby McFerrin.
Yes.
You know him. He's the Don't Worry, Be Happy. Yeah. So he's a fantastic artist.
Don't worry, be happy.
But yeah. His whole art is based on improvisation. And even though we had started to improvise, we still felt like we're classical musicians, and we're not really like jazz musicians, and we're not really great improvisers. And we got this offer to perform with him, do a couple of concerts in Mexico actually, and you know, we were connecting with him before, and I think with his manager, who's fantastic. Anyway, and we're like, listen, Bobby, this is the thing. So, you know, we decided we're going to play some of our pieces. He's going to play some of his pieces. I think he went first, and then we're going to do some things together. So basically we get to the moment in the concert where we're playing these pieces together, and we told him beforehand, look, you know, we've actually written the arrangement. We're going to play like from charts. So these are songs that he wrote, but he's done them a million times with Chick Corea in this arrangement.
I love the way you throw names out there. Chick Corea. Like, oh my God, all these greats.
All these greats. So he's performed with all these greats, though. He does, and you know, he did. So So we're like, you can't like suddenly go off like in another improvised part because we're just playing from what our music says.
Right.
You know, he was like, oh, no problem, no problem. We get on the stage, we play a couple pieces, everything's great. Audience is going crazy. We get to the third piece and we start it, everything's fine. And then he forgets what, like we told him before, but he forgets because he's done this piece probably 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
And so he's off on some other part of the song.
Oh, God,
like
what did you do?
And like the other two musicians, we're like, and all this happens in a split second. I'm like, I need to fall into the stage. Like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, mortification.
What did you do? Yeah, you were mortified. What do you do? How do you save it?
You know, and then, of course, you know, very quickly, like, as I said, it all happens in a matter of 30 seconds. Bobby McFerrin, who's like right next to me, he looks over and he realizes exactly what's happened. That, you know, we told him we're going to do this form. He's gone off in this other part of the song. And he thinks it's so funny that he gets the giggles on stage. Like, so the same thing's happening to me and to him.
You're all laughing on stage.
I am ready to die with mortification. And he thinks it's the funniest thing that ever happened.
I love the whole scenario.
It's made because he's like, oh, don't, you know, he thinks it's so funny. And then finally he gets his breath after he stopped laughing so much. Let's just go from, you know, letter, whatever, to the end of the song, you know.
Fine.
And the audience thinks it's hilarious. And the audience is like, they don't mind. And it just shows that.
What did you learn from that?
Look at our lives, the same thing, whatever perspective, all this stuff that's going on with us right now. You know, I have to remember to laugh at it, but you know,
because you had it in your head one way.
Yeah.
But you know, I've learned that from doing this. Yeah. I interviewed somebody in a Rolls Royce, a moving Rolls Royce, who shall remain unnamed. You know how hard it is to do that when the sound keeps dropping out, and I'm yelling at this big rapper. I'm like, you got to pull the car over. Trust me, doing live streaming, I've had everything in the world happen. But this is what you learned on that moment on stage, which you've used the word improvising a lot in our conversation. All of us, every person out there in our lives, the best thing we can do, we all have to learn to improvise. It's called going with the flow. We have an image in our head often of how things need to be, but guess what? It doesn't always work that way. And you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue on. We have some comments. I always have to put my glasses on. And ladies and gentlemen, today, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited to have Daisy here.
I love each other.
She's going to play air violin for us later too. She knows how to do that. I've seen it. But you're watching If These Walls Could Talk. I'm your host, Wendy Stuart. This is Daisy Jopling, our guest. She's a classic rock violinist, or what I want to say, she's a little bit classic, a little bit rock and roll. I thought of that while we were talking.
That's cool.
That's good. I love that. Right. Okay. I can pat myself on the back now. Let's see, Apollo Cabrera, who I love, always tunes in, lived in Copenhagen, no TV, lots of books. That's what Apollo, I did not know that you knew 6 languages. I'm embarrassed. I speak bad French and a little bit of Yoruba because I lived in Nigeria. I don't do any of it well, but look, Apollo says my daughter's a painter. John Henry Watson, great point about family and culture, and love that rule. If you're creating, you can stay up as late as you want. We're all born artists until someone tells us we're not good enough.
I love that.
I just did a show with John Henry Watson, and amazing creative spirit. His husband, John Hellman, who is also known as Bell Pepper, performer. We all believe in the positivity, like you had your trio, using what we have as creative people. Teresa Sabin, thank you so much for tuning in. And now, because I can never figure out how to scroll, and something just came up on my screen. I hate computers. I hope that's not on there. I don't even know how to get rid of it.
Software update.
No, we're not updating the software now.
We can just let it be.
We'll just let it be. Forget about it. It's probably blocking my face, or maybe not. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. There is a key thing I want to talk to Daisy about, something amazing that she's doing. It's called giving back. Tell me how you evolved to come up with this foundation that you have.
Yeah, so actually coming in from Vienna, so in Austria, in Vienna, I think it's still like this. Every child does get the opportunity to learn a musical instrument. You know, it's very much a culture based in music.
Right.
And I really do feel it is a very creative culture as well. I mean, it's absolutely amazing place. So I'm coming from that situation, and I think literally about 50% of kids, 50% actually play
That's
an instrument,
incredible,
you know?
right?
So,
And speak 5 languages, I'm sure,
and
as
definitely
well.
speak a few languages. So I'm coming there to New York City. Now, I've never really got, I mean, I've toured in America and in the United States, but, you know, I didn't really know about living here. And, you know, you get to know obviously different things when you really live here. So I was surprised that they were cutting. I came here 16 years ago. They were cutting so many programs. And I just,
it's horrible.
You know, it wasn't like I came here at all to have anything to do with music education, honestly. It wasn't like, you know, but that's the thing. The opportunities come to us that are not how we think it's going to be.
Because
right?
you're open to them as well.
Yeah. And it was just one of those things where, I don't know if you have that feeling like the universe is knocking on the door of your mind or something.
All the time, Daisy.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock. Wendy, we're here again.
Yeah. So it was like, I would get in a taxi and the guy would be like, oh, you play the violin? You know, my daughter, she played the flute. She loved it. She's 14. They've just, you know, taken out the whole program. Now why we're just going to do after school? You know, is she going to get into trouble? Blah, blah, blah. I would hear the story. I felt like
these
every
messages were being sent
and I was
to
like,
you.
I wonder what I can do about this. And then I met my husband, Joe. He did pass away a couple of years ago, but he's always with us. My Joe, I love you.
Was Joe a musician too?
He actually was a brilliant genius nerd. He was a like high-tech engineer. But I found that works very well with music.
Yeah, I was going to say perfect for you.
We were so perfect together. So he actually lived in Peekskill. I met him, you know, up there actually in the end. I was anyway, so finally he persuaded me to move up there, and I'm in a small community, 30,000 people is Peekskill, so northern Westchester, and that's a kind of community where one can make a difference.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can make a difference here, anywhere as well, but there it's like, I've lived there 11 years and it has been kind of amazing the way that community's changed. So I gave a concert in a local theater there, and the Paramount Theater.
The Paramount, I happen to know it too, even though it's in Peekskill. Everyone knows the Paramount. It's a beautiful theater.
Beautiful theater. So I was very blessed, you know, to give a concert there, and a friend, you know, our financial advisor. So I'm gradually meeting these people around my husband's kind of a circle of friends, and so she said, there's a fantastic high school choir. And so, you know, literally she's like, maybe you could have them sing in the concert with you. And I'm like, I don't know if I want kids in my concert, but I basically decide to go at least hear them, and I go to their school, and these kids, so this is the Hendrick Hudson High School, Erica Denler, let me just put her name out there. She's such a genius teacher. She's, I think, pretty much built up this program where she teaches the kids every single day. And so I'm going in there, so lucky. And I'm meeting these kids, and they sing for me. And I'm trying not to cry the whole time. They're amazing.
They were that good.
They're amazing.
They were that good.
And I'm like, oh God, it would be such an honor to have them in my concert. And then this whole thing starts where they end up being in the concert. I end up getting on a couple of other kids. And what happens is that these kids being on, you know, a professional stage, having like, you know, we had maybe like 800 people in the audience. So they're not playing just their parents. And we've got like fantastic lighting. We have projections.
It was like the real deal. It was the real deal.
And they're alongside world-class musicians who have toured around the world. Like, you know, me and my band. And
so wait, you put the world-class the musicians there. You did that.
I got my band together.
Daisy, unbelievable. I can't let you just gloss through that.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really incredible and unbelievably generous of you. And the fact that you not only had the idea to do that, you went ahead and did it.
Yeah. So it was honestly, it felt like I think they're going to be great in my concert. I was doing it also thinking it's going to be great for the concert, and it was great for the concert.
Amazing.
But then what happened was the teacher, like the next day, she said, you know, the kids can't stop talking about it, and she said, you know, we should do this again, and it's been amazing for them, and all their parents had seen these kids perform numerous times, but this was like 100 times better because of the situation they were in. Of course. And so I kind of went, well, let's do it again next year. And then we were like, well, I could go and play in the schools. I could do this. And
it's incredible.
And then it so organically just gradually built up, where for 10 years now we've served. So I started, we've hired, sometimes in 1 year we hire like 35 professional musicians, sometimes from New York City, sometimes from, but like the best musicians. And we pay for them to like work with the kids. So maybe some of them go into the school. So we've, including all the school concerts we've done for free, and we give tickets for kids to come to shows. And that is the moment.
It's
these
really
kids,
wonderful.
And these kids can come from any background because they're free. The tickets are free. So we have hundreds of kids coming to our show. These kids have never in their wildest dreams seen anything like what we do.
Right.
And they can't believe that a violinist is so much fun. And they come and they feel like, and the kids involved in the show, they're like, this was the best moment of my life. Even when they get to a rehearsal, they don't realize what it's going to be like on the night of the show, where the acceleration and, as I said, like the lights and the sound's amazing. We have, fantastic technicians and designers.
The opportunity that you've created for them and the exposure that you've created.
And it changes their life overnight. They're so we went from, there were no strings programs at all in the peak skill schools, and a group of moms came up and said, Daisy, can you help us start something? And I went, yeah. It's actually a lot of work.
Daisy is like, no problem, easy, I can do it with my eyes closed. You're right, it's a ton of work.
But now we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids playing in the schools, and we've got to the point
because of you. Wow.
I mean, honestly, a lot of amazing people. We have incredible teachers. Dr. David Mauricio, the superintendent of the peak school system. What an amazing guy. So it's the whole community has come together to make this happen. It's really not just me. But yes, I have been able to inspire the kids. So when I play, it's like normally, like you said, there are so many great violinists out there. But when I play, because of the passion and like all these different styles I play and my heart, and I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but the kids want to play the violin. So we actually got, finally we started this program with like 20 opportunities, 20 violins, 20 places for one teacher for these kids to learn, and 70 kids auditioned.
70, right?
And these are kids 7 years old. Like there's no way they would think of doing that.
Right.
But because they come to our shows, they're like, I want to be in this.
You gave them exposure that they would never have. While we're talking, I always like to take an amazing idea like yours. What if we took it bigger? Okay. What about New York State?
Yeah.
What about New York State?
We just got funding from New York State Council of the Arts for the first time this year. And we're going to apply again next year. And we want to, I've got a new amazing Martin Kagan. You're incredible. I love you. He's like our new executive director. He's come on kind of as a consultant right now because we're still very small, but we're looking to build up this. I would like to do this in this, not only in the New York State, but throughout the US. And we're starting to do it internationally.
I'm telling you, but when we're talking right here, right now, this is really needed in this country.
Let me tell you my dream.
Yes.
My big
Daisy's dream.
In 5 years, or no, some years, maybe nearer than 5 years, is that I'm playing concerts like Yanni, like this kind of magnitude, like, Verona Arena. And we have maybe like a choir of like 500 children. Can you imagine? Can you imagine these kids? Like, so we're playing these magnificent concerts that are uplifting the spirits of people around the world. And these kids are getting this opportunity to be in them and come to them. And, this
incredible.
This is my dream. This is what we're going to do.
You know what? Dream big, because you, Daisy, can make this happen. While we're talking here, I am seeing it in my mind's eye. If anyone can do it, you can do it. And I would love to see it. When I think of what they've cut in programs all over the country, in the United States, we are behind in learning. And it's only getting worse.
It is, I tell you, music, because these kids, like Peak Skill has gone, I don't know which, like there's a kind of list of I don't know whether it's the graduation rate, but kind of like the level.
Peak Skill, I know a lot about Peak Skill.
In the whole of Westchester, we were like leading last. And now in these last 10 years, we're like at least 50% there. We're, we're in a totally different place because of many, many things. But music, because what music does, it reaches kids of every background.
Yes.
And if we have had, so many experiences that make me cry. I mean, where kids have come through our programs who have been failing everything in school.
Right.
And they have come through our programs and they get to be a star on stage, because those kids, we teach them maybe beatboxing, like learning the violin's a big thing. And we have a free after school violin program where the kids learn every single week for 10 years.
It's free.
It's totally
free. And it's free. Wow.
But we also teach them things like, write a song, learn how to write a song, like stuff that they can learn in some weeks or months. Beatboxing, something that you can
you've opened, look how you're opening, write a song. That would never occur, Right. You're making that happen. Beatboxing, you're reaching them in so many different ways. These kids are going to go on and do something. Some of these kids would have never been able to get into a college. And because of you, when you take and use that music, the confidence, you use that confidence through music, and then they are able to apply it to other things. So I totally love what you're you're doing. Our governor, Kathy, I never say her name right, Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it.
Somebody should write her a letter. Yeah.
Come to the concert.
Yeah, she should come to the concert because I know Peekskill and I know the challenges and the demographic there. And I love, it's incredible what you're doing.
It's so
amazing. Really is.
It's so amazing. And right now it's kind of interesting because this is an interesting time. This whole pandemic thing is so interesting because live concerts are in a way back and in a way not quite back.
That's everything. Things are kind of back, but they're not right back.
A lot of people who normally come to our concerts, they're writing and saying, Daisy, we can't come next week because we're not ready to go out yet. You know, we're not. So we're it's very interesting. And, you know, I'm very into online, but I'm very into live. I'm very into the experience of being next to a world-class musician.
That's why I wanted Daisy here today. I wanted her here for real. She's here. I can touch her.
Yeah. So we're gonna, you know, we're facing normally we sell out easily and it's not happening this year. You know, it's in a different time. So come to the show. It's gonna be amazing, but we're gonna carry on doing it, you know, like you got to do. Yeah.
So I always ask my guests, we're, you know, now down to the wire. This is you get to take the platform and tell people. What would you like to tell them?
I'd like to tell them, so not only come next week, I got a show on July 9th.
Right
here in New York City at the Chelsea Table and Stage with my band.
Great. I've been great venue, great venue.
Yeah. So we got that. And then 4th of November, we're planning a concert at the Pyramids in Egypt. At the Pyramids in Egypt.
That's what I wanted you to talk about.
And I'm working with these incredible kids in Cairo. When I say incredible kids, I also mean incredible program because these kids come from maybe the worst situation you can be in. I mean, they come from, you know, very, very underprivileged, but also they have to be taken out of their homes. Maybe both their parents are gone somehow, or, you know, they are facing something so serious like violence. Or, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, you know, in Egypt. Anyway, they have to be taken out. They're kind of put in this like village and given a lot of love and care. And they're given this arts program. And these kids like totally transformed their lives by going through this arts program and coming on stage and like being strong
and
you can
empowering these kids.
Who
gave them the program? Where did you collaborate with them? Or
I found out about the program through a friend of a friend, literally. Like my mom's best friend is Egyptian. One of my best friends is Egyptian, and I met her and she told me about
so
the
great.
program.
This is amazing that you're doing this.
Yeah. So we're supporting them. Like we're giving them the money to rehearse, and then they're gonna open for us at the Pyramids on the 4th of November. So if you think of coming to Egypt, but anyway, just watch the film.
I would love to.
Please follow me on my social media. Like that's the way. Really, it makes a huge difference to me to be able to do this work. It's like literally, you know, building up the fans. So I'm grateful, so grateful.
Oh my God, I'm so grateful to have Daisy here today. The show that you talked about on July 9th, I'm totally going to. So I have to write it. I have 3 calendars. I have to write it down on my calendar before I leave here because I'll be able to go to that show.
Amazing.
I'm sorry I'm missing the one in Peekskill.
Oh, no
if it were another weekend, I would have totally been there. But I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love her talent. I love her creativity. And the thing I love the most is how she's giving back. That's something that each and every one of us can do every day. Thank you all for joining us today on If These Walls Could Talk. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.